Have you ever dealt with a simple misunderstanding that could have been resolved with more communication? Effective communication is about expressing your feelings clearly and concisely while listening to another person's body language and perspectives. Someone with strong communication skills can build positive rapport, strengthen their relationships, and resolve conflicts. This guide can teach you the basics so you can get your point across quickly and calmly. 1. Organize your thoughts before speaking. Before you attempt to communicate ideas, organize your thoughts using key points. A good rule of thumb is to choose 3 main points to center your conversation around. That way, if you wind up on a tangent, you'll be able to return to one or more of your points without being flustered. If possible, write your talking points down on your phone's Notes app or an index card for reference. This will help you stay on topic and be crystal clear about your intent. If you're giving a presentation, don't be afraid to use visual aids to get your point across. You can also highlight important keywords or ideas on a whiteboard or PowerPoint. Don't be afraid to use acronyms or phrases that will stick in people's minds. Confident, well-known speakers often reuse their key lines over and over for emphasis and reinforcement. 2. Keep your audience in mind. If you're giving a presentation, consider the interests, commonalities, differences, and anticipated levels of knowledge on the topic you're speaking on. For instance, if you're lecturing a college-level biology course, students should have a good grasp of evolution and cell theory. It may help to put yourself in the audience's shoes. Ask yourself, what kind of information would I want to walk away with? Similarly, if you're lecturing students, you may want to opt for visual aids like videos or memes to capture their attention. Use graphs or charts in professional environments when presenting new ideas to clients or stakeholders. 3. Minimize external distractions to maintain focus. When you're having a serious conversation, the last thing you want is to be interrupted by a phone call. Turn your phone on, do not disturb. And if you have a radio or television in your office, turn it off. If you're in a public space like a restaurant, wait until your waiter has taken your order to limit any interruptions. 4. Be clear and concise when speaking. Be clear about your goals so your message comes across in a way that every listener can understand. This requires using simpler words rather than more complex ones. Similarly, be sure to enunciate clearly to avoid any kind of misunderstanding. You want to speak at a volume level that is guaranteed to be heard and doesn't come across as too quiet or disengaged. It may be helpful to remember the 5 C's of communication, which include clarity, conciseness, consistency, connection, and confidence. 5. Adjust your tone of voice to capture interest. Monotone voices may not always be pleasing to the ear, so good communicators use vocal color to enhance their message. Yale University recommends that you raise the pitch and volume of your voice when you transition from one topic or point to another. Increase your volume and slow the delivery whenever you raise a special point or are summing up. Speak briskly, but pause to emphasize keywords when requesting action. 6. Maintain eye contact. Eye contact builds rapport, helps convince others you're trustworthy, and shows interest. During a conversation or presentation, maintain eye contact for as long as it feels natural. Generally, you'll want to aim for 2 to 4 seconds at a time. Remember to take in all of your audience. If you're addressing a boardroom, look each member in the eye. Neglecting any single person can easily be taken as a sign of offense. If you're addressing an audience, pause and make eye contact with a member of the audience for up to 2 seconds before breaking away and resuming your talk. This helps individuals feel personally valued. Be aware that eye contact is culturally ordained. In some cultures, it is considered to be unsettling or inappropriate. Ask about this in particular or do research in advance. 7. Practice active listening skills. Communication is a two-way street. By actively listening, you can gauge how much of your message is getting through to your listener or listeners, and whether or not it's being received correctly or needs to be tweaked. If your audience needs clarification, asking for feedback is often helpful. You can also ask the listener or listeners to reflect back on what you said, but in their own words. This can help you identify and correct mistaken views. If someone is struggling to understand a topic, be sure to validate people's feelings. This will encourage them to open up and feel better. 8. Pay attention to nonverbal communication. Be conscious of what your hands are saying as you speak. Some hand gestures can effectively highlight your points like open gestures, while others can be distracting and may shut down the conversation like closed gestures. Generally, the most effective gestures are natural, slow, and emphatic. Similarly, be aware of if your eyes wander or if you're constantly sniffling, shuffling, or rocking. These small gestures add up and are all guaranteed to dampen the effectiveness of your message. It's also helpful to be aware of these signs in your audience. Common signs someone isn't listening to you include looking bored, yawning, fidgeting, and silence. 9. Use positive body language signals. Strive to reflect passion and generate listener empathy using soft, gentle, aware facial expressions. Avoid negative facial expressions such as frowns or raised eyebrows, as this may signal judgment. What is or isn't negative depends on the context, especially the cultural context. Be quick to identify unexpected behaviors such as a clenched fist, slouched posture, or even silence. If you need to learn the culture, ask questions about the communication challenges you might face before you start to speak with or to people in an unfamiliar cultural context. 10. Be mindful when communicating online. Whether you're communicating through text, email, video, or audio calls, there's plenty of room for miscommunication online. After conducting a meeting, summarize any important details in a follow-up email. Don't forget to respond if you're receiving an email like this. Even if it's an informal, "Okay, sounds good," it lets the other person know you've read and received their message.